And once again, what is up, my fellow patriots? How y'all doing out there in America, land of the free, home of the brave? It's me, the Wicked Wizard, back with another video. This one is how the left wants you dead. Yes, I mean it. It's not hyperbole. They want you dead. The left wants you to die. You don't believe me? Well, let's check it out. Start here.
In federal court, this is an exceptionally bad dude.
The amazing thing about the whole thing is watching the video, and on the Senate floor, there's a cop who's armed, and a guy bursts in, the QAnon shaman, dressed like a Viking, and he basically talks to him. I'm watching. Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like Bin Laden, would he have shot him?
Shoot. Do you see that? Shoot him. Shoot him. They want him dead. You know who Jacob Chansley is, right? He is the QAnon shaman, the guy that they pinned the face of the January 6th supposed insurrection on. The guy that was actually led into the building and given a tour by Capitol Police. They took him all around the building, opened doors for him. He was on a bullhorn thanking them. He was totally peaceful. He walked in, took a tour, and left. They want him dead. Shoot him. You heard it, right? Well, there is some more to this. So let's go back over here.
A lot of people think the United States that you grew up in is currently being destroyed. But what does that mean? When you destroy a nation, of course, you destroy the people within it. And you start with the weakest because they're the easiest to crush. So it's worth hearing their stories just so you know what's happening and what may be coming. We're interested in hearing more today from a man called Jacob Chansley. You may know him as the QAnon shaman. He became pretty famous in the national media right after January 6, 2021. Jacob Chansley's story is pretty simple. He's a veteran, American-born, a patriotic guy who became convinced after the 20...
See that? He's a veteran, American, and they needed somebody to, put a face to it. So they picked this guy because he was dressed like a Viking or a shaman or something like this. But again, the guy really did nothing except exercise his free right as an American citizen to protest the outcome of a stolen election. And for that, they want him dead. And everybody else that was there, they want them dead. Half of those January 6 folks are still locked up in jail. They still haven't even had their first court date yet.
2020 election, that democracy had ended, that the election had been stolen. And so with thousands of other people, he went to Washington to exercise his constitutional rights of protest. And he wound up in the Capitol building. He was unarmed. He didn't threaten anyone. He never showed any sign that he wanted to commit violence.
Unarmed, never once raised his voice, pushed anybody, broke anything, exhibited zero evidence that the man was going to be violent in any way, shape, or form. But again, they want him dead. Shoot him. You heard these lefties. Shoot him.
But he was arrested, defamed, and then sent to prison. What's interesting is that it was only about 2 years later that we found out exactly what Jacob Chansley did inside the U.S. Capitol.
And by the way, his prison sentence was 4.5 years for taking a tour of the Capitol building. 4.5 years is what they gave this man.
He was, and the tape shows this unequivocally, led into the Senate chamber by uniformed law enforcement. They showed him how to get in, they opened the door for him, and they ushered him into the room. Now, we don't know the names of those uniformed law enforcement personnel. They have never been tried or convicted of anything. They've never been charged.
And of course, you know that they won't be. There's a reason why you're never going to hear their names. Actually, the only person that died on January 6th was Ashley Babbitt, who was shot by a black Capitol Hills police officer when she was zero threat. She was a veteran, weighed 100 pounds soaking wet, and he just opened fire on her.
Charged. We don't even know if they've ever been questioned. They got away scot-free. Jacob Chansley's life was destroyed. But again, it was years before we knew that. In the meantime, the national media, acting in concert with the Biden administration, decided to make an example of Jacob Chansley. They denounced him as the QAnon shaman. They screeched about how he was a personal threat to democracy and that anything that happened to him, any punishment that happened to him, was well-deserved. Here's a selection. A lot of people think the United States...
And obviously including death, right? Now I just messed up.
Screeched about how he was a personal threat to democracy and that anything that happened to him, any punishment that happened to him, was well-deserved. Here's a selection.
In his horned helmet, fur pelts, and face paint, Jacob Chansley became known as the QAnon shaman.
The QAnon shaman.
The QAnon shaman.
The QAnon shaman.
We also probably shouldn't be using the word shaman, given that that is culturally significant for some people, and this was just a rioter in a hat.
The public face of the Capitol riot.
Public face of the insurrection.
The face of the insurrection.
The most prominent symbol of a violent insurrection that attempted to overthrow the United States government.
Attempted insurrection. This man tried to overthrow the United States government by painting his face red, white, and blue, like I don't know, Mel Gibson from that movie, whatever it was called. Wearing some horns, carrying an American flag. He was going to overthrow a nuclear-powered government, a government armed with nuclear weapons, by showing up like this, right? One of you ever heard of an insurrection where nobody brought guns? and the Trump supporters have all the guns in the country, and not one person brought a gun, but they were still an insurrection, attempting to overthrow the government. Right. Sure. That's what happened.
So he stormed the building with his face painted while wearing a fur helmet and horn.
Stormed the building. He walked in through the door they opened. I guess that's stormed, but whatevs.
To storm the Capitol on January 6th.
To storm the Capitol. Storm the Capitol on Insurrection Day.
Jacob Chansley.
Do you see how all these leftist liberal media types are all, they have the same talking point? You ever notice that? They all say the same exact thing. It's almost as if, I don't know, somebody in the White House writes it down on a piece of paper and broadcasts it to all of them, and they just sit there and repeat it. These are not journalists. They repeat propaganda from the White House.
Is not convicted of a violent crime. And so the judge still believes, however, that the effect of his actions are comparable with a violent act.
Make no mistake, Chansley is
How are his actions comparable to a violent act when the police let him in, opened the door, and told him just don't, take a look, don't hurt anything, and that's what he did. But yeah, whatever.
stone cold thug.
There you
What
go.
does the DOJ hope to gain by throwing the book so aggressively at Jacob Chansley? 4 years.
Well, in a word, respect.
Compared to many of the...
No, what they were trying to do was decriminalize not only Donald Trump, but MAGA, all his supporters. They are trying to outlaw a political party because they are scared to death of us. That's what's happening. These people are scared to death, right? And then, of course, they're going to come in now and they're going to try to cover it up, right? Check this shit out.
With here on the show, there has been a big decrease in violent crime under President Biden.
Yeah, that's what he said. The man just said there's been a big decrease in violent crime under President Biden, right? And notice how he starts up here. Oh, under Trump, it was way up here. Well, geez, what happened in 2020? What was it? Oh, 575 plus declared riots from Black Lives Matter and Antifa. The summer of love. They were burning everything down and killing everybody. Right?
2020 was one of the most dangerous years in America in decade under Donald Trump. Violent crime spiked around the country. It spiked in both urban and rural areas. But in every year of the Biden administration, violent crime has come down. In fact, according to the latest estimates, 2023 is on track to have one of the lowest violent crime rates in half a century.
Lies. Lies, lies, lies. These are bullshit made up statistics, right? See, what's happening is they turned off law and order, right? They don't even report crimes anymore. They don't even show up to half of the crimes anymore. People that are victims of violent crimes don't even bother reporting them to the police because they know that they're not going to do anything. So if they just say, hey, we're not going to arrest anybody, we're not going to show up to crimes, and the victims of crimes are not going to report them, well, then, yeah, you could find a statistic that shows the crime rate going down like this because it's not being reported. But just watch any news from any city on any day, and you know that violent crime is up. Anyway, I'm telling you, friends, they're going to lie to you. They're going to tell you that it's safe to go outside because they want you dead. The left wants you dead. And if you don't believe me, again, comment down below with why. But I can only see what I can report on what I'm seeing. They want you dead. Anyway, until next time, peace.